A hearty welcome to everyone joining us today live and on demand as we continue the A1 Digital webinar series. So we'll be discussing next generation asset insight and shipment tracking. Let's do a quick introduction of A1 Digital. As I mentioned, A1 Digital makes digitalization happen. We are a subsidiary of the A1 Telecom Austria Group and America Mobil. And we were founded in 2017, bringing together a portfolio of IoT and a European cloud, exascale, network as a service, and cybersecurity. We have about 1,500 customers worldwide. We're not that big yet, but we are growing. We're about 200 employees located, of course, at the Vienna headquarters of A1 and Munich and Lausanne. We have 6 data centers in 4 countries in Europe. And just an overview of our IoT solutions. We provide our Insight series with industrial asset and energy, allowing companies and of course customers of your products to see how much energy is being consumed, where your asset is, and that's what we talk about today. But also in our Insight series, Rail Insight, you can check out those success stories online, along with fleet management and some customized projects as well. So here's our agenda for this compact webinar. We're going to go through challenges when managing those assets, as I mentioned, Asset Insight, look at some typical use cases around the world and how that can be used, and of course, some real projects that we've worked on. And then not just present them to you, but also go a little bit deeper inside into the technology underneath the solutions that we provide. And there will be a short live demo, and of course, a question and answer session as always, and we will wrap it up. And now it's time to bring in my esteemed colleagues, the panel for today. There you see me, and then we have my colleague Peter Gaspar, Solution Architect, Asset Tracking and IoT Connectivity. Peter, welcome.
Thank you, Sal.
Excellent, thank you, Peter. And Martin Seiler, our Senior Digital Business Consultant. Martin.
Welcome, everybody. Hello.
And today we're in 3 different rooms, but we're all in Vienna today. So I'm really happy to be here and share the city with you guys. So let's go ahead and I'll just hand over the mic. Martin, the stage is yours.
I would like to start with some typical challenges to solve, which we see with movable objects and machines, or better said, which our customers are actually experiencing with movable objects and machines. Basically, you can differentiate between 2 different parts. The one part is status and position. The other part is how it is used. So as you can see it right now on the left-hand side, a very big issue is on-time availability. Where is my asset when I need it? And the second part of it is my asset really ready? The operational readiness, as we call it. On the right-hand side, you can see also you would like, or our customers basically would like to get an overview about the current position, where is the asset right now, but also the traceability about transfers. So how has my asset moved? When was it at a certain place? At which point in time was it delivered? And stuff like that. So this is the first part. The second part is how it was really used. Like on the one hand side, like you can see on the left bottom side, this is also something to do with wrong handling of the asset or even theft. So if my device is moving, maybe at night away from my company premises, then I know that this is a wrong handling. This is typically not how it should be, and maybe it's even a theft. On the right hand side, you can see also there are some parameters. Is the equipment used in an efficient way? Do I have enough equipment or even too much equipment? Which means a big topic is also the documentation of the operation time at our customers. So we have tried to group these use cases, and what we see is basically 3 main use cases. The first big use case is so-called long-term asset tracking. At long-term asset tracking, we typically having bigger assets. They are moving around, not on daily basis, but some days more, some days less, and you need a lot of flexibility, and also you typically do not have a lot of power supply, which means you need to have battery powered devices and stuff like that. There are different parts, like you can see here, could be containers, could be even rail cars, could be different other truck carriers. So we have different bigger assets which we classify in the first term long-term asset tracking. The second big use case, what we are seeing in the market currently, is the so-called shipment tracking. This means it's not only about where is my asset right now, but how was it delivered, how has it moved, which roads were taken, is it via rail, is it on the street, is it even in the air? So there are different possibilities. We will come to that later on in the webinar. And the third big part, what we can see is not only where is my asset right now, how was it delivered, but even how is my asset doing? So it's asset monitoring. What's the status of my asset? What's the operational hours from my asset? Or also in the course of predictive maintenance, are there too many vibrations or stuff like that? So we are really checking the assets, and we are collecting this information and presenting them on one central place. How are we doing this? How do we tackle actually these challenges? We have invented a system called Asset Insight, because this is exactly what we would like to do. We would like to give insights to certain assets on customer side in an easy way, easy consumable way, so that the staff actually is able to see with just some few clicks exactly how is the asset doing. So how do we do that? Basically, it all starts with the assets itself. And we are delivering actually 3 different parts. So our IoT solution consists of 3 different pillars. We're starting with the IoT tracking device, which you can see on the left-hand side. We are delivering the A1 digital connectivity, which means all of our trackers have a pre-installed SIM card with international connectivity inside. And the third big pillar is the Asset Insight platform itself. It's based on Exascale, our cloud, and there we have programmed and developed the platform where we can at the end of the day then see different assets and even manage them, which means this platform, you will get access, your colleagues will get access, maybe even your customers will get access to the platform and to see some certain parts and to see the information which is needed. You can track your assets, you can monitor your assets, you can do this 24/7, also on the weekend, also at Christmas, also at Easter. And what we are providing in addition, it's not only track and trace, it's not only seeing points moving around, we could really manage assets and we could manage device data, which means you can insert some data like serial number, which brand, when was it built, when was it maintained the last time, and so on and so forth. And we can configure different rules, different reports, different notifications. So in the easiest case, this is basically just a geofence, but it could also be then reports based on different areas from the road, from your premises, or even from your customer's premises. Moreover, we have developed the solution in that way that it's not always A1 branded, it could also be white labeled. So we are fully open for that. We could on the one hand side have a fully customized color code, and we are adding logos. We are adding logos to the login screen, but also to the regular map. As you can see here, we have added the logo of Claro, our partner in the United States, for the solution Asset Insight. So this can be used fully white labeled. But now let's dig into some real customer projects, real examples, how this is actually used. So I would like to start with the use case long-term asset tracking. And in this particular case, how can we locate freight rail cars and their containers respectively? So what we basically did, we took a device. The device has several specifications. On the one hand side for the rail usage, on the other hand side for the global usage, that you can use the device in different areas of the world. We have provided the SIM card in it, and this was basically mounted on the rail car itself. The result is that you can see how the device is moving. You can see the device is working on different continents of our world, no matter if it's Europe, if it's the US, or if it's Asia. We provided in different parts of the world the devices, which are then specified for the markets. And as you can see here on the right-hand side, you can see clearly how the asset was moving around, which route were taken, when was the asset at a certain point, and when a certain threshold, for instance, was reached. Very simple, very easy accessible, and pretty self-explaining. And this is exactly the goal what we had. We would like to provide easy, consumable asset tracking solutions. Another customer example is more about transport tracking itself. So it's not purely limited to see where is a rail wagon, for instance, at a certain point in time. No, but we digged into another industry. It's actually about jewelry tracking. This is a very important segment because often, even in small packages, there is a lot of value in. So what we have actually developed together with a partner is what you can see here basically. So we are taking a robust transport box. We are mounting a battery-powered GPS module inside. This is the blue device which you can see. And then on the lid of the transport box, we've actually mounted a magnet. This is how the solution is basically working. So as soon as you close the lid, the sensor detects that the magnet is here. As soon as you open the lid, the sensor detects that the magnet is not here, and therefore the box was opened. We also used here manipulation resistant screws so that this is even safer, that it cannot be manipulated from the outside without destroying the full box. And basically here you can combine the different rules. On the one hand side, you can say the rule number one is I would like to detect some openings or some closing events. On the other hand side, you can combine this with certain thresholds in the platform. So you could basically say as long as you're opening the box in your own premises, everything is fine. As soon as the box is opened outside of your premises, then you will receive an alarm. So this is actually one example how you could use such tracking solutions in daily life. But now let's even move one step further from transport tracking to shipment tracking. For shipment tracking, we've actually developed a separate module because beside the typical asset tracking, we are seeing in the typical customer journey some more points which are very relevant. I will show it to you in detail. Think about you're ordering a product, no matter if it's a private product or if it's a product from business to business. Basically, the first step is always to order the product. So you, as a company, get the order in. The next step, what is typically done, is that the shipment is created in a system, which means you're having directly the digital twin. As a next step, you will attach the tracking device directly to your shipment. You will bring the shipment in the delivery, no matter if you're doing this on your own or if you have an external company. You could set optional checkpoints, which means you are getting notified directly when a certain checkpoint, a certain threshold on the map is reached, and you know exactly when has the device reached the destination, which means you know that the delivery is done even before your customer knows it. Basically, then the tracking device is sent back by the client. It reaches back your warehouse. You're receiving the tracker back, and this is basically then the finish line. So your shipment was completed. Your customer is happy. You can bill your products, and you can get your money in. This is how it's working. But now let's move a bit more into the technical side, and therefore I would like to hand over to Peter.
First of all, thank you, Martin, for diving deep into Asset Insight, and also for reminding me, as I mentioned, that as we are part of the A1 Telecom Austria Group and America Mobile, that we leverage that global connectivity to help provide that solution worldwide. So thank you for doing that. A question actually came in, Martin. You brought in all the different aspects of asset tracking and long-term asset tracking. A question is the solution presented as a whole package, or are we able to pick and choose what's important for us to what's important for us? So what is that possible?
Yeah, basically we are providing the full end-to-end solution containing the tracker, the connectivity, the platform itself. But we are open, and Peter will tell you this in 2 more minutes. We are open to onboard even other devices, which means we are also flexible in terms of that. Yeah.
Okay, well, nice segue to Peter. Excellent. Peter, take it away.
Good. So what I will do now, I will briefly take you through the technology that we have implemented and where the motivations behind the architecture that we have implemented for the Asset Insight. As a first kind of an overview that I can give you here, and I think it's very visible from here, is that the asset itself is in the middle of our architecture. So the asset data is what we collect. We do not care too much about which devices are connected to the asset. We want to decouple the actual device that is used from the data that we collect for the asset, because the asset is our central entity. That's what we want to monitor. And we want to be able to also change the devices during the lifetime of the asset, for example, or if the asset changes its behavior, for example, that we know that we are moving, let's say, a construction machinery from one point to the other, it may have a need for a different tracker than when we just track them on the construction site itself. So there might be a different situations in the lifetime of the asset where a different tracker is needed. So the main motivation here was to decouple the device itself from the asset management. On the other hand, on the northbound side of the architecture, you will see that we have a multiple modules implemented for asset tracking, shipment tracking, or branding, and other modules that may come in the future, because the architecture is modular, so we can add the features as they are required by the customers and the market. And on top of that, we have the APIs and the user interface. The whole platform is built with the strategy of API first. So anything you can do in the user interface, you definitely can do automatically over the APIs. So if you want to integrate into your internal systems, you're welcome to do that, and you will be able to completely control the functionalities of the Asset Insight through the APIs. This decoupling of the assets from the device also means that we have just a very small piece of software that is needed to translate the data from the devices into a data format of the asset. And therefore, we can, as Martin mentioned already, expand the portfolio of the trackers or sensors or devices that we support within the Asset Insight. And we can even expose the SDK to you, so you can your IT department or your developers can integrate your devices themselves into the overall solution. But what is also part of our proposition is not only the hardware of the trackers, but what we take very seriously is the connectivity. You know, being a spin-off of a mobile operator, this is our bread and butter, so to say. And we have put a lot of know-how and energy into selecting the right technologies for the right use cases, and to prepare kind of a consultancy package for our customers, recommending the best technology to be used in their particular case. We have made sure that we have trackers in portfolio and devices in portfolio which cover all of these new and old technologies to be able to provide a worldwide connectivity, even in the countries that are not as advanced as to be able to implement the narrowband IoT or LTE-M connectivity. And at the same time, we try to keep our solution flexible on the SIM card side. So what we do position with our solutions are so-called eSIM or EUICC SIM cards, which ensure that your connectivity is safe even in the future. So should some of the operators change their technology, or should some of the conditions, the roaming conditions change, we have the flexibility to update the SIM card with the new profiles, or to update the connectivity service that you get from our offering, to always adapt and make sure that the solution works end-to-end on the connectivity side. Beside that, on the technical side, we made sure that the SIM cards have a wider operational temperature range, for example, so they are robust, industry standard SIM cards. We have propositions for national roaming in the countries where we have our own operations, and we have made sure that the security of the communication between the device and the platform is ensured with the 3GPP standards. And I want to spend a couple of minutes on telling you how we have selected the trackers, or based on what criteria we have looked at the different available tracking devices on the market and selected the ones for our portfolio. But as I said, we are open. We can adapt to the use case and include other trackers as well. But the trackers that we have included were selected based on some of these criteria that you see here, mainly on the robustness, for example, because we needed to have in the portfolio a tracker that can be really deployed in the very rough environments, like the railways, for example, where you have the rearranging of the rail cars is a very rough process, and we need to make sure that the trackers can sustain that. So we have those. We have also a less robust trackers for, I don't know, shipment tracking, for example, that is maybe not that rough, and we can save on some hardware costs on that. The other thing that was very important for us was the GPS quality. So we do have trackers that achieve a very high precision, and again, in the railway environment, for example, we can position the rail car directly to the rail track. So even in the situations where you have tens or hundreds of rail tracks parallel to each other, we can precisely position the wagon on the right track. Definitely the power efficiency and actually the power supply variety is something that we have in the portfolio. So we have trackers that can work from the battery for 7 years. We have trackers that can be recharged and work on one charge for 2 years. And we have trackers that can be permanently powered or powered when the asset is powered. We can use that as an additional sensor, so to say, because we can then tell when the asset is in the operational state, when it's powered on and when it's powered off. So we also use this synergy kind of to get more information from the tracker. We have trackers with various sensors, and we can adapt. We can add to some of the trackers in our portfolio. We can add external sensors and expand the let's say the usability of the use case to other areas, like, I don't know, the door sensor or the humidity sensor within the container and so on. And what was very important for us as well, and that's the last thing I will mention here. Well, actually, not the last. I'll also say that the certifications are important. Yeah, depending on which part of the world you want to work with the use case. We have a tracker certified for all geographies. But the last thing I wanted to mention is the simple installation, which is something that many people neglect. But when it comes to the rollout, it's very important to know if a single person can install a tracker, or if he needs a third hand to help him, because that can increase the cost of the whole solution dramatically. And it's something that needs to be taken into consideration at the very beginning, and many customers forget about it. So the simplicity of the installation is a very important thing that was considered during our selection process. But now let me go into a demo. We don't have much time, so it's more or less just a glimpse into the platform. But here is an example of a construction machinery tracking. So I have the front page of our Asset Insight. You can see here that I have selected the construction machinery group. So these are the assets that are machines at the construction site. I can open that. I see there's a concrete pump and a crane. And I see that one of them is in Vienna. The other one is somewhere on the way out of Vienna. If I look into the more details of this crane, for example. So one thing you can see, we get the actual postal address expanded. So not only the GPS position, but we recognize a postal address as well, which is very useful for asset tracking, and the GPS position doesn't tell you much. And if I go into the details and I look at the telematics information that we get from the crane, I see its past movement on the map. I see some temperature measurements that we get, the power, the external power on the tracker, because that's the tracker with the power supply, and I see the battery charge. You can see that it was going down when it was not powered here. After it was plugged in, the battery recharged to 100%. And this is my crane. And now I know from the map, you have seen in the map, that this crane belongs to the construction site 8680, but it's obviously somewhere on the way. If I look at the areas here, you will see that this is my construction site 8680, but obviously this one is on the way somewhere else, and I actually know where it's going. It's going to the depot. Yeah, so I'm going to park that particular crane into the depot. So what I have done, I have created the area depot here. You can see I have the geographical area, and I have created a rule. I want to know when this particular crane arrives at the depot. I want to get an email notification when this happens. So what I will do now, I will emulate that. So let's see if we can see that. I will do a quick move, and I will send the crane into the depot. The live tracking takes a little time until it actually shows that it moved. Let's see if I can get here. But in the meanwhile, I have already got a notification. You can see here the notification. Where is my mouse? And it came actually at 501, so 1701 right now, and I get the notification that the crane has arrived to the depot. And I can see already here on the map that the crane has moved. And if I show the areas, it's in the depot. Yeah, so what we can do in the asset inside, obviously, as you have seen, we can define the rules, and we can monitor and get notified when the assets fulfill a certain condition. This can be a measurement, it can be an event that comes in, so when they start or stop moving, or it could be a geographical area which they have crossed. And the last thing I want to very quickly show you is the shipment tracking. I have one shipment that was delivered on the 26th, and I just wanted to walk you through here, through the states that we have had, that Martin has mentioned already. So we have created the shipment in the morning, then prepared the shipment with and given a tracker on top of it, and then it went on the way. So when it started to moving from our warehouse, we got the status it's in delivery now. When it was 10 kilometers from the destination, there was a checkpoint which actually triggered an email to the customer and to us. It was then delivered 6 minutes, 7 minutes after that, and the customer packed the tracker and sent it back to our tracker warehouse, where it was then when it arrived, and then a few minutes later. So this is obviously a simulated shipment, but you can see all the stages here, and at the end there is a statistic from this shipment. So you can then compare your shipments, and you can watch how your KPIs of the shipments are evolving. And as Martin mentioned, the best thing here is that you know that it was delivered. Your customer gets notified before he gets it delivered, so he can expect it, and that's especially important at the construction sites, for example, so that the foreman is available to take the shipment and have it unloaded and at the proper position and so on. So this is a very useful feature which we see as a very popular one with the customers, mostly in the construction industry, but also in the shipping of valuable goods. That was a very quick one, but I think we don't have much more time, so I'm handing it back.
Well, before we get to Martin, I wanted to just say thank you and thank you for delivering that. And even if you're a little bit over, it was very compelling. I think people unaware of that, I think it's very interesting. Actually, we have a question for you from the audience, and maybe even Martin, if you want to add in as well. But for you, Peter, can standard solutions be enhanced with other sensors? For example, temperature control. So I guess what they mean with other data or other sensors getting that data. But is that customizable? Are you able to program that to get other pieces of data?
Yeah, yes, so definitely we can, and there are two ways to do it. The one is with the standard trackers that we already have in the portfolio. Some of them have an external sensor connected through the Bluetooth, which can immediately send the data into the asset insight. The other option is if the customers have their own hardware development, for example, and they have their own trackers or asset devices which are, for example, embedded into the asset. We can integrate them using a small software adapter that will translate the data coming from these custom-made devices into the data model of the asset insight. So yes, definitely, and that was one of the main motivations to decouple the devices from the assets, so that we are very flexible in onboarding the different hardware.
Excellent. Thank you, Martin. And thank you again, Peter. And finally, thank you to all who joined us live and on demand. You may reach out and connect with both Peter and Martin and me if you'd like on LinkedIn. And I feel like the conversation just got started. There's so much more that I feel like that needs to be shown. So come to us with your projects as well. You can discuss your use case with one of our experts, analyze where you want to go, where you are now, where you'd like to go, and how we can help you get there. Please contact us. We can help identify low-hanging fruit where we can solve something right away, and also plan the next steps of your journey. So please do contact us for that. And we look forward to hearing from you, no matter at what phase of your digital transformation you are, assessing your needs, speaking to a trusted, experienced partner. We hope we brought focus to A1 Digital as that partner and begin your journey, or looking just to add on to empower your solution. It's always a good time to start the conversation. And finally, a thank you to Philip Koenig, our producer for this webinar. And with that, I wish you a wonderful day. Stay safe out there.